Hello, and welcome to this video where I am talking about my Achilles tendon rupture journey. My name is Janine Esbrand, and I am a wife, mother, business owner, podcaster, child of God, and I share videos about juggling all the hats and being a millennial who is navigating the highs and lows of life. And so if that is interesting to you, make sure that you subscribe and follow along on this channel. So today's video, I want to talk about weeks 2 to 3 post-op on this Achilles tendon recovery journey. If you haven't watched the previous videos on how I ruptured and what the initial few weeks were like and then the op, then go back and check those out. But today I want to talk about weeks 2 to 3 and a few of my experiences and how I've navigated those. First thing I want to talk about is the lead up to getting my cast taken off. So after I had my operation, I needed to be in the cast for 2 weeks. By the second week, I was like, I just need to get this cast off my foot. It is very uncomfortable, but I will say it isn't a full cast around where it's hard around your whole foot. They call it a splint because they put like a back slab splint, I think, because they put a hard, I don't know what it is inside, but it's a hard thing that goes on the back of your leg, but the front is just the kind of dressing. So it's almost like they put that on the back and then they wrap the dressing round and round and round, so you can touch your leg through the dressing on the front, but the back you can't. So it's not as bad as having like a full-on like plaster cast, but it's still frustrating, it's still irritating, it's still itchy. And so when we got to the Wednesday before I was getting it taken off on the Thursday, I just want to get this thing off. And in my mind, I was like, it's fine because you're going to be getting it off tomorrow. So I can stay focused. For me, having the milestones and knowing when I'm able to do the next thing is really helpful for my mental, like really helpful. So the day comes where I'm supposed to be going to get the cast taken off. My husband is taking me. So we're getting ready to leave the house. And I get a call from the hospital to tell me that the appointment has been cancelled. I'm like, what now? Why? And they said unforeseen circumstances, the appointment's been cancelled. I was like, oh my goodness, absolutely not. I can't. I had a moment, and I will tell you, on this journey there have been many moments of tears and frustration. It's really frustration because I can't control how quickly we're moving in this process. So when they told me that my appointment was cancelled, I went back and was like, is there any way we can do something else? Like, can we find me another appointment? Can I see a different doctor? And they were like, let me go back and check. And I explained to them how it was feeling itchy and I wasn't sure that it was okay. And I was 2 weeks post-op and I wanted somebody to have a look and make sure that everything was healing okay. So ultimately they came back and said they could find me an appointment next week. And I was like, that's too long. Is there like, really? I can't. Honestly, I can't. So I was really pushing back because I was like, I can't stay in this cast for another week. And after pushing back again, they were able to find a doctor that could see me. So they came back and were like, if you can come now, we can see you. I was upstairs in my bedroom. When I tell you, I don't even know how I got to the bottom of the stairs. I moved so quickly. I said to my husband and my daughter, come on, let's go. We're going. It's back home. We need to get this done. I was grateful that I was able to see somebody then. Got to the hospital and went to the place where they take the cast off and they cut it off. And then the lady's like, oh, we've got stitches. And I'm like, no, we don't have stitches because the doctor told me I was having dissolvable stitches, which means that I wouldn't have to take them out. She said, well, these are not dissolvable. And I was not impressed. Considering I've already had an emotional roller coaster, you're now telling me that I have to have stitches taken out. So I'm like, what are you talking about? I asked her, is it going to hurt? And her response was, well, it's not going to hurt me. And I thought, this lady's got jokes. You got jokes. This is not the time for it. I am not in a good place right now. Can you just do what you need to do? So ultimately, she took the stitches out and then I was put into a boot. I was familiar with the boot because I'd worn the boot before surgery. Because I'd had the boot before surgery, I had an expectation around what it was going to feel like in the boot, right? I was like, yeah, I'll go back to the boot. I'll be able to move around. But I hadn't had surgery last time. So this time that it's still sore, I still have to use my crutches. I'm not able to like put weight on it, even though the doctors did say that you can start to try and put weight on it. I didn't feel comfortable doing that, and there was a lot of pain. So I was still using my crutches in the boot, but I was a lot more mobile because being able to put your foot down to steady you and to balance when you're doing stuff is so much better than being in the cast. So that was really the highlight of week 2 to 3, getting the boot on and then being able to hobble around a little bit, use the crutches. I think that the thing that was hard with getting the boot was sleeping. So prior to surgery, the surgeon allowed me to wear a splint to bed, which ultimately it looks like a shin pad, but it's longer. So it goes down your foot and it sits on the top of your foot, just behind your toes, and then you put a strap, like 3 straps around it, one around your heel, one around your foot, one around your calf. And that means that even though you don't have the boot on, your foot isn't able to like move upwards, because what we don't want at all with your Achilles tendon injury is for your foot to move up too soon, because that will just re-rupture and you have to start all over again. So before surgery, I was allowed to wear that. Post surgery, they said, no, I need to wear the boot, and wearing the boot to bed is an absolute nightmare. So I've had to, and this may be a tip for somebody, depends on which side of the bed you sleep on. But for me, I sleep on the left side of the bed, and it's my right foot that is injured. So having my foot in the bed under the covers is a problem. I had to cover it with a old pillowcase because didn't want dirt to get in the bed. And then as I'm moving, the covers are also moving and it's feeling very heavy. So what we ended up doing is switching ends of the bed. So now I'm sleeping at the bottom of the bed so that my foot can kind of hang out of the covers, and then I can be covered. So yeah, you have to be creative, right? You have to find ways to make things work. But yes, that is what it's been like. From an emotional point of view, roller coaster. It's so hard to be in a position where the injury recovery is so long and you have to completely change your lifestyle. You're not able to do the things that you normally do, simple things, just going out for a walk. You just can't do it. And there's been kind of events that I've had to not go to, business conferences that I had booked to go to that I had to cancel, and things like that. That's been really challenging. But what has been good things that week were having more visitors come. People, every time someone came to visit, they brought flowers. So my house became like a florist with lots of bunches of flowers, which is really lovely. And I think my appreciation for what it means to visit somebody when they're poorly or when they're injured has gone up exponentially. And now I'm really thinking about, once I recover, how can I make more time in my days, in my weeks, that allow for me to visit someone who's in need of a visit, because it makes so much difference. I love my family, my 2 children and my husband, and I love the fact that they're here and that I'm not, alone. But there's something different about having other people come and visit and spend time with you and chat and understand your frustrations and just be sounding boards, and share what's going on with them, like live my life vicariously through other people who are traveling, going on holiday, going to amazing events, having experiences. Like, I'm not doing that, but I'd love to hear how it's going for you. And so yeah, visitors has been good. What else did I want to share? Oh, the other thing, I've got my notes down there, which is why I'm looking down. My knee scooter, the knee scooter. When I first did the injury, I was watching a video and a lady had a knee scooter, and I was like, should I get that? And I was going back and forth. My brothers were laughing at me, saying that thing looks ridiculous. I don't want to see you go down the street in that. But I figured, you know what, I'm going to get it. So I almost ordered it on Amazon, and then I decided to go to a Facebook marketplace and see if there were any that anyone was getting rid of locally, because it's obviously the type of product that you're only going to use while you're in recovery, right? And I did. I found one and it was a fraction of the cost. So I got my husband to go pick it up and then had the knee scooter, which has been So helpful. Just being able to scoot around in the kitchen and go around to the bathroom to get stuff. Before, I was using an office chair to do that, which wasn't fit for purpose. So there were challenges with doing that, whereas the knee scooter is fit for that purpose. And so it made it a lot easier for me to be able to move around. So you essentially you put your bad knee on the pad and then the rest of your foot is hanging off the end, and then you scoot with the other leg, which yeah, it looks a bit crazy, but it does give you a little bit of independence, particularly when you're, used to using the crutches, and those crutches were so hard to use in the beginning, and my arms were hurting, my armpits were hurting, my wrists were hurting, my palms were hurting. Now I'm used to using them, so those things are not hurting anymore, but the knee scooter, I would definitely recommend. The other thing I'd mention is just showering. So in terms of showering, they said not to get my leg wet for a few days once I came out of the cast. So initially, I just gave it a wipe down because it was looking not very nice post-surgery. And then a few days later, I washed my leg and showered it. And what I experienced was a lot of like flaking of my skin, and it kind of looks like, if you get a suntan and then after a while it starts to peel off. That's kind of how the skin on my leg was, I guess, because it was enclosed for so long. So I would wash my leg every day and then kind of just use like a light touch flannel around the incision area, but just generally use that on my foot. And then I would take my foot out, dry it, put it in the boot, and then cover the boot, and then get in the shower. The reason I am approaching it that way is there are lots of people who re-rupture in the shower because it's slippery, they fall. And so I'm taking a two-stage approach so that I can sit down, wash my leg, and then I can protect it in the boot and then have a full-on shower of my body. So yeah, that's working well for me. I don't have a walk-in shower. I have a shower in the bath, so I do have to like get into the bath. But yeah, from a shower perspective, that's the way we do it. It takes a while, but that's what we're doing. I even managed to like wash my hair the other day, which was a whole thing, but I managed to do it. So where there's a will, there is a way. There are lots of adjustments that you have to figure out as you go. That was week 2 to 3. Join me for the next video where I talk about what happens in the next couple weeks. If you liked what I'm sharing, make sure that you give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share this out with anybody that you know who's had an injury, and I will see you next time. Bye.